welcome, and thank you for joining me tonight. Before we begin, take a moment to find a comfortable position and allow the day to gently fade away. Tonight, we journey eastward into the world of Han Dynasty China. We will walk along lantern-lit streets where merchants sell silk and tea, step into courtyards where incense drifts toward the sky, and pause beside rivers that have carried life for countless generations. We will hear the brush of calligraphy on bamboo scrolls, the gentle notes of the guqin echoing in tea houses, and the slow rhythm of footsteps along the Great Wall as dusk settles. This is a world of emperors and scholars, farmers and families, a world of stone, wood, water, and sky, woven together into memory and myth. As the story unfolds, let the words guide you like a steady river, carrying you deeper into calm and deeper into rest. So, settle in and let us begin our journey. Dawn along the yellow river. The night is ending. Its dark veil thins across the land as the first faint glow of dawn appears along the horizon. Over the vast plains of China, the yellow river stirs in the softening light. Mist clings to its surface, rolling in long ribbons that blur the boundary between water and sky. The current moves with unbroken steadiness, its wide expanse glimmering gold beneath the rising sun. The river is eternal here, the lifeblood of the Middle Kingdom. Its waters have carved valleys, nourished fields, and carried the hopes and burdens of countless generations. To the people who live along its banks, it is both a gift and a guardian, revered as the Mother River. In its depths, legends say ancient dragons slumber, guiding the flow and protecting the land. On the near bank, a cluster of houses stirs awake. Their walls are made of packed earth, their roofs covered with curved tiles that glisten faintly with dew. The wooden doors creak as they open one by one, releasing families into the cool air of morning. Farmers step forward with tools slung across their shoulders, wooden plows, hoes, and woven baskets. Women follow with jars balanced on carrying poles, the clay vessels swaying gently with each step. Children, still drowsy, trail behind, rubbing their eyes, their soft chatter mingling with the faint rush of the river. The fields stretch outward, rows of millet and rice glistening with beads of dew. Oxen wait at the edge, their broad forms rising like shadows in the pale light. One farmer strokes the flank of his animal, murmuring a quiet word of thanks before guiding it toward the soil. The wooden plow sinks into the earth, and with each slow step, the dark soil turns, releasing its rich scent. The rhythm is steady, timeless, carried out as it has been for centuries. Nearby, a young boy kneels by the river, filling a clay jar. He dips it carefully, watching the ripples spread across the surface. His reflection stares back, a face, still softened by youth, framed by the mist of dawn. As he lifts the jar, the water sloshes, heavy in his arms. His mother steadies him with a gentle touch, guiding his steps back toward their home. She smiles faintly, proud of his efforts, while the boy's laughter spills briefly into the morning air before being swallowed again by silence. Further downstream, fishermen prepare their boats. The vessels are narrow and weathered, built from dark wood worn smooth by time. Their prows rise slightly, curved in the old style, and lanterns hang from the bows, their flames still faint in the growing light. The men push the boats into the water, the hulls sliding across pebbles with a soft scrape before floating free. Oars dip into the river with slow rhythm, sending ripples across the misty surface. Nets are coiled and lowered, their cords sinking with small splashes. Before casting, one fisherman bows briefly toward the water, a gesture of respect to the unseen spirits said to dwell beneath the yellow river's depths. The air is alive with subtle sound. Birds stir in the reeds, herons lifting their wings, cranes stepping slowly along the shallows, sparrows darting overhead. Their calls weave together into a scattered chorus, gentle but bright, marking the arrival of the new day. From the village courtyards, smoke rises in thin trails as hearth fires are rekindled. The scent of millet porridge drifts faintly, warm and earthy, mingling with the sharper fragrance of river reeds and damp soil. On the far bank, the faint rumble of wheels grows louder. A caravan emerges from the haze, wooden carts drawn by oxen, their loads stacked high with grain, pottery, and bundles of silk. Merchants walk beside them, their robes tied neatly, their wide-brimmed hats shielding their faces from the coming sun. They move in measured rhythm, their voices low as they speak to one another. A guard at the front carries a spear tipped with bronze, its surface catching the early light. The road follows the curve of the river, carrying the caravan eastward, toward the great cities of the empire. Their journey is long, but they move calmly, unhurried. Their presence, part of the steady pulse of the land. The mountains rise in the distance, their peaks faint and ghostly through the morning haze. As the sun climbs, the mist pulls back, revealing ridges of stone and patches of forest. The slopes are etched with terraces of farmland, small dots of workers already bent to their tasks. Above them, the sky brightens into pale blue, the first rays of sunlight striking the peaks, painting them in shades of rose and gold. The river reflects it all, a trembling mirror that carries mountains and sky within its flowing current. Back on the bank, an old man sits weaving a basket from reeds gathered the day before. His fingers are slow but sure, bending each strand. With patient care, a faint tune hums from his lips, a song remembered from long ago. It drifts into the air, blending with the murmur of the river. Children pause to listen before continuing their game, their laughter ringing like bells. The man smiles faintly, his hands never stopping, his song as steady as the current beside him. A scholar appears along the river path, his robe simple, his steps unhurried. He carries a satchel of scrolls and brushes, his eyes thoughtful as he gazes at the water. He stops for a moment, kneeling to dip his hands into the current. The water runs cool over his fingers, pulling away the dust of the road. He lifts a small cup, filling it and raising it to his lips. As he drinks, the river's coolness flows into him, refreshing his spirit. He closes his eyes briefly, whispering a quiet verse of gratitude before rising again to continue his journey. His footsteps fade into the distance, leaving only the river's voice behind. The yellow river flows on, unbroken. Its current carries fish and reeds, boats and voices, hopes and prayers. It has seen dynasties rise and fall, temples built and worn away, lives begin and end. To stand upon its banks is to stand within the rhythm of eternity, where past and present meet, where time itself seems to pause as the sun climbs higher. The river shines with greater brilliance. Its surface glitters like a sea of gold, dazzling. In the morning light, farmers labor steadily in the fields, their voices low, guiding their oxen through the soil. Fishermen pull nets heavy with silver fish, their baskets filling with the day's catch. Children carry jars of water, their laughter echoing faintly. Merchants continue along the river path, their carts creaking softly. All of it flows together, the river, the people, the land, into one steady breath. And as you stand by the water, the cool breeze against your skin, the sun warming your face, you feel yourself carried by its rhythm. The yellow river whispers of constancy, of life unbroken, of peace that endures beyond the reach of time. The bustling market streets. The path from the river leads steadily toward the heart of the city. As you walk, the houses grow taller, their wooden gates painted red, their tiled roofs rising in graceful lines against the brightening sky. Air carries new scents, now roasted grain, simmering broth, fresh cut wood. A faint hum grows louder with each step, the mingling of footsteps, voices, and wheels turning on stone. Soon, the market streets open wide before you, alive with motion, yet unhurried, steady in their morning rhythm. The marketplace stretches in long avenues paved with stone. Tall wooden archways mark the entrances, their beams carved with dragons and phoenixes, painted in shades of red and gold. Long banners flutter gently from their tops, bearing the symbols of merchants and guilds. Lanterns hang from posts, their paper skins painted with brushwork of cranes, mountains, and flowing rivers. Their soft glow lingers even as daylight grows, casting warm colors upon the faces of those who pass beneath. Stalls line both sides of the street, each covered with cloth awnings that ripple in the breeze. The merchants are already busy arranging their wares. One lifts baskets of bright green tea leaves, their fragrance sharp and fresh, filling the air with the promise of warmth. Another sets out bolts of silk, the fabric gleaming like liquid light. Deep crimson, cool jade, soft gold. The colors shift as they catch the sun, drawing the eyes of passers-by. Nearby, a potter displays rows of vessels, their surfaces painted with patterns of clouds, waves, and running deer. He runs his hand gently over the curved sides, tapping them lightly to reveal their clear, ringing tones. Customers pause, lifting one jar, then another, nodding in quiet approval. A merchant of spices opens a small wooden chest, revealing heaps of star anise, cinnamon, and Sichuan peppercorns. Their aromas rise into the air, sweet, sharp, and warm, blending with the sense of roasting chestnuts and simmering noodles from food stalls nearby. The sound of the market is full yet balanced, never harsh. Merchants call softly to one another, their voices low and even. The creak of wagon wheels mingles with the clink of coins, the soft rustle of fabric being unfolded, the steady chop of a cleaver at a butcher's stall. The murmur of conversation flows like a gentle stream, greetings between neighbors, bargaining between buyer and seller, laughter between children, weaving between the stalls. At a food vendor's stall, a woman ladles steaming broth into bowls, dropping noodles and herbs with careful hands. The fragrance is rich and savory, rising into the cool air. Customers sit upon low stools, sipping slowly, their breaths visible in the morning chill. Across the way, a man roasts skewers of meat over glowing coals. The crackle of fat, the hiss of juices meeting flame, and the steady motion of his hand, turning each skewer add to the rhythm of the market's song. Along the street, craftsmen demonstrate their skills. A blacksmith hammers softly at a strip of bronze, shaping it into a delicate ornament, his strokes measured and calm. Sparks glow briefly before fading into the light. A carpenter planes a length of wood, curls of shavings falling in neat spirals at his feet. His son gathers them carefully, his eyes wide with concentration. Nearby, a woman weaves straw into baskets, her hands moving with practiced rhythm. Her work is steady as breath. In one corner, a storyteller draws a small circle of listeners. His robe is plain, but his voice is smooth and steady, rising and falling like a melody. He tells of generals and kings, of clever strategists and loyal warriors. His hands move slowly, painting images in the air. Children sit cross-legged before him, their eyes wide, their faces still. Even adults pause in their errands, lingering for a moment to listen before moving on. His story lingers behind them, a thread woven into the fabric of the day. At the center of the marketplace stands a tall drum tower. Its base is wide, its surface painted with scenes of mountains and rivers, cranes in flight and swirling clouds. The great drum rests high within, its surface taut, its voice deep. At intervals, a drummer climbs the stairs, his steps slow, his posture steady. He lifts the mallets and strikes the drum in slow, measured rhythm. The sound rolls across the city, deep and resonant, marking the hour. The people pause briefly, listening, before continuing their work, their lives flowing with the beat dot beyond the stalls. Long colonnades stretch, their roofs supported by tall wooden columns. Scholars gather in their shade, scrolls unrolled upon low tables. Their brushes scratch softly against parchment, recording accounts, copying verses, or drafting letters. One reads aloud in a calm voice, reciting lines of poetry. His companions nod, their gazes thoughtful. The words drift outward, mingling with the hum of the market, soft as the breeze. Amid the bustle, small rituals unfold quietly. A woman pauses before a shrine set into the wall, lighting a stick of incense. The smoke rises in delicate spirals, carrying her whispered prayer into the air. A child bows beside her, mimicking her gesture, her eyes wide with reverence. A man offers a handful of rice at another shrine, laying it gently in a clay bowl before moving on. These gestures are brief, but they linger, reminders that beneath the market's noise, the gods and ancestors are never far. As the morning deepens, the market grows fuller, yet it is never chaotic, never harsh. Each voice, each motion, each sound seems to find its place within the whole. The rustle of silk, the fragrance of spices, the slow beat of the drum, the murmured words of the storyteller, all flow together into harmony. The marketplace of the Han is not a place of clamor, but of rhythm, a living tapestry woven from trade, craft, and story. You pause at the edge of the square, taking in the sight. The banners flutter above, painted with dragons and clouds. Lanterns sway gently in the breeze. The air is filled with warmth of food, of incense, of human presence. And beneath it all, the slow, steady pulse of the city continues, unbroken, eternal, like the river from which it draws its life. Here, in the bustling market streets of Han China, the world is alive, yet calm, vibrant, yet steady. The day unfolds not in haste, but in harmony. Each sound, each step, each breath flowing into the next, carrying you deeper into the heart of the Middle Kingdom. A family courtyard home, beyond the market, where voices and footsteps blend into a steady hum. The streets narrow into quieter lanes. Wooden gates line either side, painted with faded reds and guarded by stone lions whose faces are worn smooth by the touch of time. Above tiled roofs curve gently toward the sky, their ridges adorned with small figures of animals, dragons, horses, and phoenixes meant to guard the homes beneath. You step through one such gate, and the world shifts. Inside lies a family courtyard, walled on all sides, its center open to the sky. The air is still here, filled with the fragrance of pine wood, incense, and fresh earth. Stone tiles mark the ground, their surfaces worn by countless footsteps. A small altar stands against the far wall, its base carved with cloud motifs, its surface holding sticks of incense still smoldering from the dawn offering. Thin trails of smoke rise into the air, curling upward like whispers, carrying prayers to ancestors whose names are carved upon wooden tablets resting in the shrine. Around the courtyard, rooms open outward, their doors sliding wide, their frames painted in dark lacquer. From one room, the sound of silk threads being drawn tight upon a loom drifts softly. A woman sits within, her robe simple yet graceful, her hands steady as they guide the shuttle back and forth. The threads gleam faintly in the light, pale ivory, soft jade, deep crimson. Each pass of the shuttle adds to the growing fabric, its surface smooth, its pattern taking shape slowly, patiently. Her daughter sits beside her, winding spools of thread, her fingers moving with care. From time to time, the girl glances toward her mother, imitating each motion, learning not only the craft, but the rhythm of patience itself. In another room, the sound of chopping wood echoes softly. A man works in the kitchen space, preparing the day's meal. Clay jars line the shelves, filled with rice, millet, and pickled vegetables. He lifts the lid of a bronze pot, releasing the warm scent of broth, seasoned with ginger and spring onion. The fragrance mingles with the air, comforting, grounding, filling the courtyard with the promise of nourishment. His young son assists, carrying small bundles of herbs, his face bright with concentration as he lays them carefully upon the table. The courtyard itself holds its own life. A small pond lies near the center, its water clear, its surface broken by the wide leaves of lotus plants. A single blossom floats among them, pale pink, its petals opening with the morning sun. Goldfish swim lazily beneath, their scales flashing briefly as they rise to the surface. At the pond's edge, a small boy crouches, his hand extended, his eyes wide as he follows the movements of the fish. His grandmother sits nearby on a low stool, watching him with a soft smile, her hands busy weaving rushes into a mat. Her movements are slow, but her presence fills the space with calm. From one corner of the courtyard, the faint sound of music begins. An older brother sits cross-legged with a gukeen, a long, slender, stringed instrument resting upon a wooden stand. His fingers move gently across the strings, drawing forth tones that rise and linger, then fade into silence. The melody is slow, deliberate, each note carrying the weight of stillness. The sound drifts across the courtyard, mingling with the scent of incense and broth, the rhythm of weaving and chopping, the quiet laughter of children. Occasionally, neighbors pass beyond the walls, their voices muffled yet familiar. A knock upon the gate may bring a visitor, a friend delivering a basket of vegetables, or a relative arriving with news from the market. Their voices join the life of the household for a time, then fade again as the gate closes, leaving the courtyard in its steady rhythm. The household altar remains at the heart of it all. Before the midday meal, the family gathers briefly around it. The father lights a fresh stick of incense, bowing 3 times before placing it in the burner. The mother pours a small cup of wine, setting it gently before the tablets. The children bow in turn, their gestures careful, their faces calm. Together, they stand in silence for a moment, the smoke rising between them, carrying their gratitude and hopes into the unseen world. Then, just as quietly, they turn away, returning to their work and play. The sun climbs higher, casting light into the courtyard. Shadows shift across the tiled ground, long and soft. The sound of the loom continues, steady as a heartbeat. The broth simmers, its fragrance deepening. The guqin plays its final notes, leaving a hush behind. A bird alights upon the roof tiles, calling once before lifting into the sky. Life flows gently here, unhurried, balanced dot as you linger in the courtyard. You feel the presence of generations within its walls. Those who lived before, those who live now, those yet to come. Each gesture, each sound, each ritual belongs to a pattern repeated endlessly, as natural as the flow of the river. The household is not grand, not loud, but it holds the essence of the Han, harmony between family, work, spirit, and rest. Here, within the quiet embrace of a family courtyard, time slows. The world narrows to the rhythm of threads upon a loom, broth simmering in a pot, incense curling into the air. The scholar's study. As afternoon drifts gently across the city, the air grows warm and still. The bustle of the market softens behind you, and the narrow lanes give way to quieter avenues. Here stand the homes of scholars and officials, modest in size, yet filled with the weight of learning and thought. Their courtyards are shaded by tall bamboo groves, their leaves whispering in the breeze. Beyond wooden gates, the faint sound of brush against parchment drifts outward, steady, rhythmic, as constant as the beating of a heart. You step through one such gate into the study of a Han scholar. The courtyard is simple, lined with flagstones. A small pond shimmering faintly in the light. Its surface reflects the tall stalks of bamboo that sway above, their shadows dancing across the water. Within a nearby chamber, the scholar works, seated before a low table of polished wood. The room is cool and quiet, its walls lined with bamboo scrolls stacked neatly upon wooden shelves. Some are tied with silk ribbons, their ends painted with characters naming poems, histories, and treatises. Others lie open upon the table, their surfaces covered in careful brushwork, black ink flowing in graceful strokes across pale fibers. The air carries the faint fragrance of ink and pine, mingled with the resinous scent of incense burning gently in a bronze censer. The scholar himself is a man of calm presence. His robe is plain, tied with a simple sash. His beard is trimmed neatly, his posture straight yet unforced. Before him rests an inkstone filled with black liquid, a brush balanced lightly in his hand. He dips the bristles, then moves them across. The scroll in slow, deliberate strokes. Each character forms with care, balanced between strength and grace, a harmony of line and breath. From time to time, he pauses. He lifts his gaze toward the open window, where the bamboo sways softly in the breeze. He breathes in the stillness, then exhales, his hand returning to its work. For him, writing is not labor, but meditation, each word a reflection of thought, each pause an act of patience. A student sits nearby, watching closely. The boy's robe is simple, his hair tied neatly, his eyes wide with concentration. holds a smaller brush, imitating the motions of his teacher upon a wax tablet. His strokes falter at times, uneven and hesitant, but the scholar does not scold. He offers a few words, calm and steady, guiding the boy's hand, reminding him that mastery comes not from haste, but from constancy. The boy nods, trying again, his brush trembling slightly as he draws another line. On a side table rests a collection of classics, Confucian texts, histories of kings and dynasties, verses of poetry. The scholar opens one, its bamboo strips, bound together with silk thread. He reads aloud in a low, even voice. The words are measured, each phrase carrying the weight of centuries. He speaks of harmony between man and nature, of the duties of ruler and subject, of the balance between virtue and order. His voice fills the chamber, rising and falling like the rhythm of a stream, before fading once more into silence. Outside, the bamboo stirs, leaves rustling in response. Birds settle among the branches, their calls brief and soft. The sun shifts across the courtyard, shadows stretching long and thin. Time seems to slow, drawn into the calm of the study, where brush, ink, and thought flow together into a single breath. From beyond the gate, faint sounds of the city drift in, the cry of a vendor, the creak of a cartwheel, the bark of a dog. Yet here they arrive softened, hushed, as though the walls themselves filter the world outside. Within the study, there is only the stillness of ink upon parchment, of words taking shape, of thought settling into form. The scholar finishes a line, then sets his brush aside. He pours water from a clay pitcher into a small cup, sipping slowly. His gaze drifts toward the pond in the courtyard, where goldfish glide among lotus leaves. He watches them for a time, his expression calm, as though even in their small movements. He finds meaning, then, refreshed, he returns to his table, dipping his brush once more, resuming his quiet labor. The boy continues his practice, strokes slow and careful. At last, he lifts his brush, showing his work. The characters are uneven, but their effort is clear. The scholar smiles faintly, nodding. He takes the brush in his own hand, drawing a single line beside the boy's. Strong, graceful, complete. Then he hands the brush back, encouraging him to try again. The boy bows his head slightly, renewed, and begins once more. The hours pass. Like this brush against parchment, voice against silence, thought against breath. Within the scholar's study, time feels less like a rushing river and more like a calm pond. Each ripple spreading slowly outward, fading gently into stillness. As you linger, you feel the weight of learning settle into the air. The characters upon the scrolls are not only marks of ink, but vessels of memory, carriers of thought from one generation to the next. Here, wisdom is not shouted, not hurried, but spoken in quiet tones, written in steady strokes, lived in simple acts of patience and care. When you step back into the courtyard, the sky has deepened, the light softening into shades of amber. The bamboo continues its gentle sway, its leaves whispering against one another, like voices of the past echoing faintly in the present. The scholar remains at his table, the boy still at his side, both absorbed in the quiet rhythm of study. The tea house at midday. As the sun climbs toward its height, the city softens into a slower rhythm. The market hums still, but its early rush has quieted. Along the main street, shaded awnings ripple in the breeze, and the air carries a gentler tone. Here stands a tea house, its wooden beams painted in faded red, its eaves decorated with carved dragons and curling clouds. A painted sign swings above the entrance, its brushwork elegant, announcing the house as a place of refreshment, of gathering, of pause. You step inside, and the light dims. Paper windows filter the sun into soft gold, casting long shadows across the polished floor. The air is warm, filled with the fragrance of roasted leaves, faint incense, and polished wood. Tables of dark timber are spread across the room, their surfaces smooth from countless hands. Cushions lie ready, their fabric woven in patterns of waves and mountains. At the center of the room, a brazier glows faintly. A kettle rests upon it, steam rising in delicate threads. A young attendant tends the fire, adjusting the coals with care, ensuring the water remains hot but never boiling too fiercely. His motions are quiet, deliberate, as though the rhythm of the house depends upon his steady hand. Around the room, guests sit in calm conversation. Merchants from the market sip from shallow cups, their voices low as they discuss their journeys, their families, the weight of the day. Scholars sit apart, scrolls resting beside them, their words measured and thoughtful, drifting into pauses that linger as long as the sentences themselves. A pair of travelers sits near the door, their robes dusty from the road, their faces tired yet softened by the comfort of tea. The tea is poured with care. Clay pots, their surfaces darkened by years of use, are filled with fragrant leaves. Green, oolong, jasmine. Water is added in measured amounts, then left to steep, the aroma rising slowly into the air. The attendant lifts a pot with two hands, tilting it gently to pour into small cups. The liquid flows in a thin stream, pale at first, then darkening as it fills the vessel. The sound is soft, steady, like a thread weaving itself into the fabric. Of the room, guests lift their cups, holding them lightly, their eyes lingering on the surface before they sip. The taste is subtle yet deep, warm upon the tongue, calming in the chest. Each sip slows the breath, steadies the mind, draws the body into ease. Conversation pauses at times as guests savor the quiet, letting the flavor linger before continuing their words. In one corner, a musician begins to play. He sits before a guqin, its lacquered body gleaming faintly in the filtered light. His fingers glide across the strings, drawing forth tones that rise and fall like waves upon a shore. The melody is simple, measured, without urgency. Each note lingers, fading slowly into silence before the next begins. The sound fills the room like water, filling a vessel, calm, steady, complete. The guests listen in stillness. Some close their eyes, cups held lightly in their hands. Others gaze toward the windows, watching the patterns of shadow shift across the paper screens. A scholar begins to recite lines of poetry, his voice low, his words weaving gently with the music. He speaks of mountains and rivers, of the turning of seasons, of the stillness found in moments of quiet. His companions nod, their expressions serene, their thoughts carried inward by the rhythm of his voice. A breeze stirs through the open door, carrying with it the scent of blossoms from the street outside. The paper lanterns that hang from the beams sway gently, their painted surfaces glowing faintly in the dim light. Shadows ripple across the floor, as though the entire room breathes with the rhythm of the wind at another table. Two old friends share a bowl of rice cakes. Their conversation drifts into laughter, soft but bright, rising and fading like the notes of the guqin. One pours another cup, his hand steady, his face lined with years, but softened by joy. They speak not of business or duty, but of small memories. The turning of a season, the sound of a bird, the face of a grandchild. Their words are gentle offerings, as nourishing as the tea itself. The brazier glows on, its coals shifting, the kettle whispering with steam. The attendant refills cups, replenishes pots, his movements unbroken, his face calm. The tea house hums, not with clamor, but with harmony. Voices, music, fire, and fragrance woven together into one steady current. As time drifts, the room begins to empty. Merchants return to their stalls, scholars gather their scrolls, travelers continue along the road. The cushions are left slightly indebted, the cups empty but warm. The gukin's final notes fade into silence, leaving only the whisper of steam, the faint crackle of coals. The attendant tidies the room, stacking cups, sweeping fallen leaves from the floor. He pauses to open the door wide, and light floods. Back in, brightening the shadows, carrying the scent of pine and earth from the street. For a moment, the tea house stands in stillness, filled only with the memory of voices, the echo of music, the warmth of shared silence. Here, within the tea house at midday, the world narrows to simplicity. A cup of tea, a steady breath, a pause. In the turning of the day, it is enough. Lanterns and processions. The day begins its slow descent, the sun dipping toward the western hills. The streets that bustled with trade and conversation now soften into something gentler, a rhythm turned toward rest. The air cools, carrying with it the scent of wood smoke, roasted chestnuts, and incense lit before doorways. Families step outside their gates, neighbors greet one another, and the first glow of lanterns begins to bloom along the streets. Lanterns of every shape and size hang from wooden poles, their paper sides painted with birds, mountains, clouds, and flowers. Some are simple, round, pale, glowing softly with a steady flame. Others are elaborate, shaped like fish, dragons, or lotus blossoms, their colors vivid even in the fading light. As darkness gathers, their glow spreads across the city, casting pools of amber and red upon the stone streets. The sound of footsteps grows as people gather for the evening procession. Families walk slowly, their children tugging gently at their sleeves, pointing toward the lanterns. Merchants who spent the day in trade now close their stalls, carrying their own lanterns as they join the flow. Musicians move among them, carrying flutes, drums, and strings, their instruments wrapped carefully in cloth until the time comes to play at the head of the procession. Temple attendants prepare the way. They wear robes of deep crimson, their sleeves long, their belts tied with cords of silk. Each carries a tall staff topped with bells that chime softly as they walk. Behind them, acolytes hold incense burners, the smoke rising in curling streams that mingle with the cool evening air. The fragrance drifts outward, resinous, sweet, calming, marking the path a sacred dot. The crowd follows in measured steps. There is no hurry, no clamor, only the quiet rhythm of movement, the murmur of voices, the occasional laughter of children chasing the glow of paper fish lanterns bobbing gently at the ends of sticks. The air is filled with anticipation, yet it is a calm kind, not urgent, but serene, as though the entire city has chosen to breathe together. As the procession winds through the streets, music begins. The soft notes of bamboo flutes drift above the sound of footsteps, their tone airy and bright. Small drums follow, struck gently, their rhythm steady but unhurried. Together, they weave a melody that flows like water, carrying the crowd forward. From time to time, the guqin is heard, its strings plucked in simple chords that linger in the air. The music does not rise to overwhelm. It soothes, guiding the pace of the night. The path leads toward the temple at the heart of the city. Its wooden gates rise tall, their beams painted with dragons, its roof sweeping upward into the sky. Before it, wide steps stretch, lined with lanterns that climb toward the entrance like a river of fire. The procession slows as the people ascend, their faces glowing in the lantern light, their voices hushed. At the top, the great bronze cauldron burns with incense, its smoke drifting high into the night, carrying prayers to the heavens. Within the temple courtyard, the celebration unfolds. Musicians take their place near the altar, their instruments ready. Dancers move into the open space, their robes flowing in the lantern glow. Their steps are measured, graceful, each movement drawn from traditions older than memory. Sleeves swirl like waves, feet press softly upon the stones, hands lift slowly toward the sky. The crowd watches in silence, their faces serene, their gazes following the rhythm of the dance. Children laugh quietly as they lift their lanterns high, holding them against the dark sky. Their glow trembles in the night air, each small flame, a star brought down to earth. Parents smile, watching as the children chase one another in circles, their lanterns bobbing like fireflies. The elders stand apart, their hands clasped behind their backs, their faces calm as they observe the dance, the music, the light. The celebration stretches on, but it is never hurried, never loud. Each song flows into the next, each dance follows. Gently, each moment carried forward by the glow of lanterns and the hum of voices. The air is thick with the fragrance of incense and roasted food, with the warmth of tea being poured from clay pots into waiting cups. Even as the temple grounds fill, the stillness remains a shared rhythm of peace beneath the night. As the evening deepens, the lanterns shine brighter, their flames steady, their colors vivid against the dark. The dancers step aside, the music softens, and the voices of the priests rise in prayer. Their chant is low, steady, repeated in unison. The words flow upward like the smoke of incense, rising toward the heavens, carrying with them the hopes and gratitude of the gathered crowd. The people bow their heads, their lanterns held close, their breaths slowing as the prayer washes over them. For a long moment, silence reigns. Only the crackle of incense and the faint rustle of robes breaks the stillness. Then, slowly, the procession begins again, the people descending the steps, carrying their lanterns into the streets. The music resumes, soft and simple, guiding them back through the city. Lantern light spills across every corner, filling the night with gentle fire, as though the stars themselves have fallen to earth. When at last the streets grow quiet, the lanterns remain, hanging from beams and doorways, their glow unbroken. They sway gently in the night breeze, their light reflecting upon stone and wood, casting shadows that stretch across the ground. The temple stands behind them, its incense still burning, its courtyard hushed. Here, beneath the glow of lanterns and the rhythm of procession, the city rests. Its people return to their homes, their steps steady, their hearts calm. And the night carries on, bathed in gentle firelight, guiding you deeper into stillness, deeper into rest. The great wall at twilight. The city falls behind you, its lanterns glowing faintly in the distance. its voices hushed beneath the weight of night. A narrow road winds upward into the hills, climbing steadily between slopes of pine and stone. The air grows cooler, touched with the scent of resin and earth. Above, the sky deepens into shades of violet and indigo. The first stars trembling faintly at the edges of the horizon. And then, as you crest a ridge, the Great Wall appears. It stretches across the mountains like a river of stone, winding and climbing, vanishing into the misty distance. Its towers rise at intervals, square and steady, their silhouettes dark against the twilight sky. Torches flicker upon their battlements, their flames dancing in the evening breeze, casting long shadows across the stones. You step upon the wall, itself a surface broad and worn by countless footsteps. The stones are cool beneath your feet, their edges smoothed by time, their strength unbroken despite the centuries. From here, the world spreads wide. To the south, valleys unfold, dotted with villages whose hearth fires glow faintly. To the north, mountains rise like waves, their peaks fading into the darkening sky. The wall holds it all, a silent witness to the endless breadth of the land. Soldiers move along its length, their presence calm, their steps steady. They wear robes of layered cloth and light armor of leather and bronze, their hair tied neatly beneath simple caps. Each carries a spear or a bow, but their hands rest lightly upon them. There is no sense of urgency here, no clash or cry, only the slow rhythm of watchfulness, the steady duty of guardianship. Their voices are low when they speak, their laughter soft, blending easily into the night. From one tower, the glow of fire spills outward. A group of soldiers sits around a small brazier, their faces lit by the gentle flames. A pot rests upon the coals, steam rising from its surface. They sip from clay bowls, their voices carrying quietly in fragments of stories and songs. One hums a familiar tune, his companions joining softly, their harmony low and unhurried. The sound drifts upward, mingling with the sigh of the wind, lingering against the stones. The wall itself seems alive beneath your feet. Its stones breathe with the warmth of day, now fading into the cool of night. Its towers rise like sentinels, unblinking, unmoving, their presence both protective and eternal. Torches flare and dim, their smoke curling into the air, joining the mist that drifts slowly across the mountains. You pause at the edge of a battlement, gazing outward. The valleys below are shrouded in shadow, their rivers glinting faintly in the last light. In the villages, families gather around meals, their laughter and conversation softened by distance. The glow of their fires flickers like scattered stars. Across the land, above, the heavens grow darker, their constellations brightening, their patterns emerging more clearly with each passing moment. A soldier approaches, his steps quiet. He carries a lantern, its light swaying as he walks. He bows slightly, his face calm, before continuing along the wall. His lantern joins the glow of others, a line of light stretching into the distance, marking the wall's path like a necklace. Of stars fall into earth. The wind rises, moving through the battlements, rustling the banners that hang from the towers. Their cloth ripples softly, their symbols faint in the twilight. The sound is low, steady, like the breath of the mountains themselves. Crickets join in chorus, their song filling the spaces between torchlight and shadow. As the night deepens, the wall grows quiet. The soldiers take their posts along the towers, their silhouettes steady against the sky. Their eyes sweep the horizon, not with fear, but with patience, as though their presence is as eternal as the stones they guard. Their stillness blends into the vastness, their lives part of the rhythm of the wall itself. The stars brighten, scattering across the heavens. The Milky Way stretches overhead, a river of light flowing above the river of stone below. The two seem bound together, sky and earth mirroring one another, both endless, both timeless. The torches flicker, the mist drifts, the stones hold steady. The wall does not end. It only continues, beyond sight, beyond time. Here, upon the great wall at twilight, the world narrows to silence, to stone, to sky. The land rests, the mountains breathe, the stars endure. The temple courtyard. Beyond the winding road of the mountains, you follow a narrow path lined with cypress trees. Their tall forms rise in silence, their branches heavy with shadow. The air grows cooler still, touched with the fragrance of pine and earth. In the distance, the faint sound of a bell rings low, resonant, carried on the wind. It marks your approach to the temple. At last, the trees part, and the courtyard opens before you. The temple rises upon a stone terrace, its wooden beams painted in deep red, its roof sweeping upward like the wings of a bird in flight. Tiles glimmer faintly in the starlight, their edges curved and layered like scales. Lanterns hang from the eaves, their light glowing softly against carved wooden panels depicting clouds, cranes, and flowing water. Before the entrance, two bronze incense burners rest upon carved pedestals, their bowls wide, their surfaces darkened with use. Thin streams of smoke rise from their mouths, curling upward in steady spirals, carrying with them the scent of sandalwood and resin. The courtyard is broad and still, paved with stone worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. To one side, a row of cypress trees stands watch, their branches swaying gently in the night breeze. To the other, a small pond reflects the lanterns, its surface broken only by the ripple of koi moving beneath the water. Lotus blossoms float upon it, their petals pale against the dark. Monks move through the space, their robes of saffron and grey flowing softly around them. Their heads are shaven, their expressions calm, their gestures unhurried. Some carry brooms, made of reeds, sweeping fallen leaves from the stones in slow, rhythmic strokes. Others tend to the incense, lifting fresh sticks, lighting them carefully, and placing them among the glowing embers. The smoke thickens, rising like mist, filling the air with fragrance. Each motion is deliberate, each action an offering, a meditation in itself. From within the temple hall, the sound of chanting drifts outward. Voices rise and fall in unison, low and steady, repeating verses in tones that vibrate within the air. The sound is both distant and near, both earthly and eternal, as though the walls themselves hum with resonance. It blends with the faint crackle of torches, with the sigh of the wind, with the slow breath of the courtyard itself. The great bronze bell rings again. Its voice is deep, long, and lingering, a single tone that seems to stretch into eternity. Each strike is followed by silence, a silence that feels full, as though the world itself pauses to listen. The monks bow their heads when it sounds, their hands pressed together, their breaths aligned with its rhythm. Even the koi in the pond seem to still, their movements quiet beneath the rippling reflection of lantern light. At the center of the courtyard stands a tall pine, its trunk broad, its branches spreading wide. Beneath it, a small altar rests upon a stone platform. Offerings are placed upon it, bowls of rice, cups of tea, small pieces of fruit. They rest there quietly, gifts of gratitude from those who have passed through these gates. The smoke of incense drifts upward from the altar, mingling with the lantern light, rising toward the heavens. You walk slowly through the space, your footsteps softened by the worn stones. The air feels heavy with stillness, yet it is not oppressive. It is a stillness that welcomes, that embraces, that allows the mind to ease and the body to rest. The chanting continues, the bell tolls again, the lanterns sway in the breeze. Each element belongs to the other, all woven into harmony. A group of monks gathers near the pond. One kneels, dipping a ladle into the water, pouring it gently over the roots of a lotus plant. Another sits cross-legged nearby, eyes closed, his breath slow, his hands resting upon his knees. His presence is steady, unshaken by the movement. Around him, his stillness radiates outward, filling the space with quiet strength. From the temple hall, a monk emerges, carrying a scroll. He sits at a low table in the courtyard, unrolling the parchment. By lantern light, he begins to read aloud, his voice soft but clear. The words are ancient, verses of reflection and wisdom, reminders of balance between heaven and earth, between man and nature, between thought and silence. His companions listen, their eyes lowered, their breaths slow. The words flow outward, carried by the smoke, by the breeze, into the night beyond. The hours drift gently, the chanting rises and falls. The bell strikes at intervals, its resonance filling the mountains. Lanterns burn steadily, their glow unwavering. The incense thickens, weaving patterns into the air. The pond reflects it all, lantern, smoke, pine, and sky, as though the world above and below are one. And as you remain within the courtyard, you feel the stillness enter you. It moves with your breath, slows your heart, quiets your thoughts. The world narrows to lantern light, incense smoke, the toll of the bell, the whisper of robes across stone. Time softens, stretching into calm. Here, within the temple courtyard, harmony endures. The monks sweep, the lanterns glow, the prayers rise, the bell tolls. Reflections beside the lotus pond. Night has deepened, and the temple grounds have grown quiet. The chanting has faded into silence. The bell no longer tolls. Only the soft crackle of incense remains, drifting into the air in thin silver threads. The courtyard glows faintly with the light of lanterns, but their flames have softened now, smaller, dimmer, steady against the cool night breeze. Beyond the temple steps, a path of stone leads toward a secluded pond. The way is lined with willows, their long branches trailing downward, their leaves brushing the stones with every breath of wind. Crickets sing among them, their chorus steady, a quiet song of night. Each sound feels woven into stillness, not breaking it, but completing it. At last, the pond appears. Its surface lies wide and still, like a mirror of black glass. The lanterns hung around its edge shimmer upon the water, their light trembling with each ripple. Upon the surface, lotus blossoms drift, some open wide, their petals pale as moonlight. Others still folded, their beauty hidden, waiting for dawn. Their stems sway gently beneath the surface, moving with the rhythm of unseen currents. A stone bridge crosses one end of the pond. its arch graceful, its surface worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. You walk upon it slowly, pausing at its center to gaze into the water. Beneath the blossoms, koi swim lazily, their scales flashing gold and white, their movements unhurried. They rise now and then to the surface, disturbing the reflection of the moon before slipping back into the depths. The moon itself hangs above, full and luminous. Its light silvers the leaves of the willows, glimmers across the tiled roofs of the temple, and paints the pond in shades of pearl. Clouds drift slowly across the sky, their edges faintly glowing as they pass. The stars are fewer here, softened by the moon's brightness, yet they remain, scattered like grains of salt across the dark. You sit upon a stone bench near the water's edge. The air is cool upon your face, carrying the fragrance of lotus blossoms, damp earth, and faint incense that still lingers from the courtyard. The crickets sing, the willows whisper, the pond breathes with small ripples. Each sound is soft, unhurried, guiding the body into stillness, the mind into quiet. A monk passes quietly along the path, carrying a lantern. His robes sway gently, his footsteps almost soundless upon the stones. He pauses at the pond, lowering the lantern to watch the koi move in its glow. His expression is serene, touched with something like reverence. Then, with a slight bow toward the water, he continues onward, the light of his lantern fading slowly into the trees. You remain, watching the water. The blossoms drift, the fish turn lazily, the moon reflects, the willows sway. Time stretches. Here, unmeasured, there is no rush, no urgency, only the steady rhythm of night. Your thoughts, like the ripples upon the pond, begin to settle. What was once restless becomes calm. What was once clouded becomes clear. The pond reflects not only the moon, but the stillness within yourself. Each breath you take mirrors its surface deep, slow, steady. Somewhere in the distance, a flute begins to play. Its sound is faint, almost carried away by the wind, but it lingers just enough to be felt. The melody is simple, rising and falling like the breath of the world. It joins the crickets, the water, the rustle of willow leaves, becoming part of the night's endless song. A frog croaks once from the far bank, then leaps into the water. Ripples spread outward, catching the light of the lanterns, the shimmer of the moon. They fade slowly until the surface lies still again, as though nothing had disturbed it at all. The lotus blossoms continue their gentle drift, undisturbed, by time, by movement, by sound. As you sit, you feel the weight of the day fall away. The noise of the market, the hum of the tea house, the rhythm of the procession all fade into memory. What remains is only this: water, moon, lotus, breath. A moment stretched into eternity, quiet and whole. The pond does not rush toward anything. It only reflects, it only holds. And in its calm, you too are held, steady, unbroken, at peace. Here, beside the lotus pond, the night deepens. The lanterns burn low, the crickets sing on, the moon watches overhead. The great wall under the stars. The night has fully settled upon the mountains. The air is crisp now, touched with the faint coolness of dew. From the distant valleys, the sounds of villages have faded. The laughter of families, the barking of dogs, the hum of life, all hushed beneath the weight of the stars. Above, the sky has opened wide, a vast canvas of light scattered across endless darkness. The great wall stretches through it all, unbroken, winding across ridges and peaks. In the glow of the moon, its stones gleamed faintly, silvered and strong. Torchlight burns at intervals along its length, small flames swaying in the breeze, their smoke drifting upward in soft trails. From one tower to the next, the wall glows like a line of fireflies. Weaving across the horizon, you walk slowly along its surface, your footsteps soft upon the worn stone. The air is quiet here, carrying only the whisper of wind moving through. The battlements, the faint crackle of a torch, the distant call of an owl. Each step feels steady, as though the wall itself breathes with you, its presence vast, eternal. The towers rise at intervals, square and steadfast. From their heights, soldiers keep watch. Their silhouettes move calmly, lanterns swaying in their hands. They stand not with tension, but with patience, as though their duty is not to guard against threat, but to witness, to share in the stillness of night. When they pass one another, their voices are low, steady, carrying words of reassurance, fragments of song, quiet laughter that fades quickly into silence. You pause at one tower, climbing its stone steps. At the top, the view spreads wide. To the north, mountains stretch into shadow, their peaks crowned with stars. To the south, valleys open in darkness, rivers glimmering faintly as they wind toward the horizon. The wall itself disappears into distance, fading into mist and sky, its path unending dot above the heavens blaze. Constellations shine with sharp clarity, the northern dipper, guiding travelers across centuries. The river of heaven, what the West calls the Milky Way, flowing bright across the sky. Each star seems alive, pulsing faintly, as though breathing with the earth below. For the people of the Han, these lights are not distant. They are companions, ancestors, guides. To gaze upon them is to step into the same wonder felt by countless generations before. The wind brushes against you, carrying the fragrance of pine from the slopes below, mingled with the faint smoke of torches. A banner ripples gently upon the tower, its cloth pale in the moonlight, its sound like a sigh. Beneath it, the wall holds steady, its stones cool beneath your hands, its strength unyielding. Time stretches here. Minutes feel like hours, hours, like eternity. The wall does not move, does not change, yet it carries the memory of all who have walked it, soldiers and travelers, scholars and laborers, families and strangers. Each step taken upon it has joined the rhythm of the stones. Each voice spoken here has become part of its silence. You descend from the tower, continuing along the wall. The torches grow fewer as you walk, until at last you find yourself in darkness. The moon, your only guide, its light falls across the stones, silver and soft, turning each crack, each groove into a thread of shadow. The silence deepens. Crickets sing faintly below. An owl calls once, then no more. The stars remain, their presence endless, their glow unwavering. At last, you stop. You rest your hand upon the stone, cool and solid. You gaze outward at the horizon, where mountains and sky meet in shadow and light. The wall stretches behind you and before you, unbroken, eternal. Above, the river of heaven flows, its current endless, its light steady, taut here. Upon the great wall under the stars, the world narrows to this stone, sky, silence. The land breathes, the heavens shine, and time itself seems to pause. Beneath the vast heavens of China, the night lingers in stillness. The Great Wall stretches across the mountains, unbroken, its stones resting beneath the glow of the moon. The Yellow River flows steadily onward, carrying with it the memory of countless generations. Temples stand in silence, their incense rising into the sky, their bells fading into echoes, and above it all, the stars endure. The same constellations that guided scholars and farmers, soldiers and poets, shine still, scattering their light across the endless dark. Perhaps, just as they once gazed upward in wonder, so too do we still seeking meaning, still listening to the silence between the stars. For the wall continues, the river flows, the heavens shine, and the rest of the story has yet to be written.